and welcome to the Circle of Love and Light. I'm your host, Jane Mountrose, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host and fellow healer, Gretchen Comer. And today we're going to talk about an unexpected topic, although it shouldn't be that unexpected. We're going to talk about freedom with the 4th of July holiday coming tomorrow here in the United States. Freedom is really what is the topic for the week. We had actually planned on talking about awakening to your role in the divine plan, which actually, thinking about it, is related, but we're going to go more into that next time. So you can plan to join us then for that topic. And we will, as I mentioned, actually be marrying the two today because the divine plan, actually connecting in with the divine plan, actually does create more freedom for us in a way that you might not expect. I was thinking about divine order the other day, which kind of got me into the whole thing, and how whenever I think of divine order, I feel just this sense of peace and calm. And in a way also, though, the idea, the term divine order sounds like it could be, like rules and laws. But actually it's more like absence of all the rules and laws that we have that are preventing us from being in a place of being fully connected with the divine. So it's fascinating to me. Anyhow, we're also going to do one of my favorite meditations for healing with the angels and opening to the magic that's here for us. So we'll be doing that too. And before we begin, I also want to thank you for joining us. I'm going to take a minute here. I'm going to connect in with hopefully a new chat. Let's see. Oh, Barbara Clark is saying hello. So I am getting, I'm getting the chat here. And what that does is it brings in the streams from different places so that I can see all the chats at once. And also, hopefully, we'll be able to see more of them because I haven't been seeing everything. So anyhow, welcome, Barbara. And we're going to also just remind everyone else to please say hi and tell us where you're from, and feel free to comment and ask questions, whatever. We'll catch them as much as we can. I'm looking at two computer screens here to get all of this. And before we start the discussion, I want to do as I usually do, just take a moment for us to breathe. If you can close your eyes, if you're in a safe place for that, you can do that for a moment. And just breathe in love and light from the universe into your body. Tends to take us a little bit out of our heads and more into the moment. And into an intention of being present here together for this time with like-minded souls who are all on this beautiful path to love and light. And Buddy is here too today. I think he's going for a ride in a little bit, but he's here now. So welcome, Buddy. Okay, so Gretchen, now I'd like to turn to you and ask you to share a little bit about how you perceive freedom from a spiritual perspective, of course.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jane. I appreciate that. Yes, this is a great topic because I feel like when it comes to freedom for me, it really is about living from your heart's joy. I can't think of anything else that would be freer than being able to live from your heart's joy. And so when we're doing that, we're actually staying aligned with that divine order, that divine plan that we're all part of. And
right.
And we know that because it's the things that make us happy and joyful and kind of give us that zest in life as we move forward on our paths. So to me, it really is about just following what your heart is telling you, using that guidance, but your connection between your heart and your soul and using that guidance really is going to be the kind of map to give us the direction to go, with our soul path. So yeah, it's a wonderful topic too. And I think we often talk about limitations in life, but if we're following that divine plan, that soul's joy, that heart joy, then we can't go wrong. It's
Right.
it's ultimately going to give us the perfect direction to go for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting because it is connecting with the truth in your heart is freeing in itself.
Yes.
And it also takes us out of that place of looking for it outside ourselves, which is where most of society is actually still. It's like, if you want freedom, well, if I had more money, I would feel free. If I had the love of my life, I would feel free. Right. And there are benefits to both of those. It's not to say that I have any objection to wealth or abundance or having an abundance of supportive relationships. All of those are wonderful.
Right.
And at the same time, I think, as Gretchen was suggesting, living from your heart's joy frees you from a lot of the perceived limitations that really what we're taught. We're conditioned to believe that we need to be living in a certain way and doing certain things to be free.
Right.
And really, if you're looking at it from a spiritual perspective, we're looking at something that's completely different.
Right. It's a whole higher level of energy. It's it's not in a lower level of vibration. It's a much higher vibration that
Right.
we are essentially aligning with. And and I believe a lot in the timing, the divine timing of things too.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. That's very important, is to trust. If we already trust that it is going to happen for us, that we are going to find the things that make us joyful and happy, then we can trust that the timing is playing out exactly as it should be.
Right. Right. And you said something there, you kind of quickly went over it, that I think is an important point too. And it is that everything is happening for us, not to us. Right. And if we're perceiving something happening in our lives that is not what we want to have happen, it's an opportunity to look at it, to keep our spirits up. And for freedom, we're talking about, well, living with your heart's joy, living in a place of joy and love and peace and really magic. I'm a person who I love magic and miracles and all of those kind of imperceptibly amazing things that are possible if we keep our spirit in that place, whatever it is for us. We all perceive that differently. Because we're perceiving it from our soul's perspective, and we understand that things are happening for us, we can keep our spirits up and look for what the opportunity is in whatever it is that's happening that we're not wanting. Because there's a message for us in it. Whatever it is, it's telling us something.
Right. I totally agree. I feel like those little indicators are kind of like road signs on the path of life. If we feel like we're off course or we're doing things that are not aligned with our heart and soul, then we can just stop. It's kind of like reading a road sign. You just stop, you pause, you look at the map again and go, oh, okay, I need to go this way. It just kind of helps reroute us onto the path that we need to be to find that heartfelt joy. And so I think it's important sometimes that we have those indicators. I think we need little reminders along the way. We are human, we're fallible. And so in order to be able to advance on our path and to really realign, sometimes we just need those little road signs, so we can take a pause and say, all right, what's not working? What's keeping me from that heartfelt joy? What's keeping me from happiness? Right.
Yeah. And what might there be in this that I don't see that is actually a positive thing? Because sometimes it is that too. Right. I do want to welcome Gerald Ann, one of my dear friends, who's here with us live today. So thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Yeah. I think it is an opportunity if we're thinking, well, how can I have more freedom? One thing that people often say is, well, I don't have time for the things I love. And this is something to explore too, because I think to live life to the fullest, we have to be in control in a certain sense. You can't control everything, but we do have to be looking at taking control of our time more than we may be. A lot of us are doing things because other people ask us and we don't really want to be doing them, but we're doing them because they're expected of us.
Right, right. And I agree. I think those are the times when we are not essentially in the driver's seat,
Right,
of the
exactly.
vehicle. We're on this path, we're kind of in the back seat, letting those things, take control over those parts of our life. And I think if we can crawl over that back seat, and get into the driver's seat again, we'll find our way. We'll find that beautiful alignment with the divine plan, with divine order once again. So, yeah.
And the empowered creators that we are, because we might feel, I'll give you an example that to me is just kind of amazing. I went to art school earlier in life and really enjoyed fine arts, doing painting and drawing and all those kinds of things, and eventually became an architect, which was wonderful. I see Sharon Williamson is here too. Love above to you too. She sent some hearts to us, so thank you. So I became an architect, and of course going out into the working world, then you're working 40 hours plus every week, and there are all these things snowballing. And every year I would say to myself, well, next year I'll have more time and I can start doing artwork again. And this went on from the time, say, in my 20s until 40 was a big one for me. It was like, okay, so here I am, 40. It's been just about 20 years that I've been telling myself this. If it's not happening now, it's not going to happen. So I decided, well, I'm going to start doing it. I'm going to make time. And the thing that was amazing about it is once I set the intention and started setting aside time for it, I had time. And I actually, during that period, I did a lot of painting and started selling artwork. And I'm not doing that per se right now. I'm doing more of our artwork on the internet, which is also very satisfying for me. But it was kind of like when I decided I'm doing this, it's like Moses, the waters parted and I just walked through into this new opportunity, which was really wonderful for me at the time. And I was going through a lot of healing at that time. So it was also, I think, very therapeutic.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful thing to remind ourselves about too, is for me, for my own healing process, it's a good study to say, well,
Quiet, Foxy. Excuse me.
Why aren't I making the time for the things that make me joyful? That's a good study, kind of, interpersonal study for me, it has been, my life is very busy. And so, in finding time for the things that I enjoy, then I have to sit back and say, why aren't I making time for the really important things that give me joy and happiness, that give me that zest for life? So sometimes if we can just kind of look a little deeper into that, we can find a lot of solutions, we can find a lot of reasons and then clear that, so that becomes kind of a catalyst for starting again, for continuing on your path to heartfelt joy.
Yeah.
Which is freeing, freeing to be able to clear those things as well,
Yeah, for sure. Barbara Clark says, freedom for me is consciously living from my heart and true self versus my ego and small self. I think that's another really important kind of a comparison. It's like there is the part of us that feels that we're separate and alone and kind of out in the wilderness, or even maybe imprisoned by our lives or wallowing in the mud. We use that metaphor a lot. And then there's another part of us that recognizes that we can rise up. We use that mountaintop metaphor a lot. If you even imagine rising up, just the as metaphorically and energetically, it lifts your spirits. So we have to make sure that we're coming from the right place when we're making decisions. So a lot of people make decisions while they're wallowing around in the mud together, calling each other names and saying, you don't understand me. This is what I want. Well, that's not the place. It's from the mountaintop when we're all connected in our hearts and we can say, if you would just let me express what's important to me, then I would like to hear what you have to say. And from a completely different space within ourselves. Gerald Ann says that really goes a long way for our self-love and self-care. So important we meet our joy needs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What better things to make time for in your life than what gives you joy? I mean, that it's, you know, on a human level, it should seem so obvious, but it's not always obvious to us. And that's okay. We're still finding that way. And that's totally fine, you know.
Yeah.
But being able to come back to our heart, center ourselves in our heart, is where we're going to get the best guidance. You know, that
Right.
connection between the heart and soul is where we're going to get the best guidance. So yeah, it's not going to lead us astray. Right.
Yeah. It brings me back to kind of the, well, to the big picture of divine order. And when I was looking at it, it's funny because some of these things we feel we understand them, but we don't have actually kind of a mental way to define it. I was looking at it and I said, essentially, it's the order or freedom, actually, the freedom that's established within the connection to the light and love of God, which is unencumbered by the illusions of limitations that we experience here.
Absolutely.
And so to me, if we're looking at the journey being a journey back to source, back to our creator, to oneness with God, it continues to reside in the heart. The heart is the receiver. It doesn't move to someplace else. So it's not like this is kind of, well, I'm in this stage of connecting with my heart, but now I'm doing this other thing. There is no other thing, the way that I see it.
Right.
This is it. This is this is the heart of the journey home.
Right. Absolutely. I totally agree. And I think you know, as humans, we get bogged down by our experiences in our day to day. And often I find not only myself, but the people that I work with are often assimilating through the emotional field. And so that's really only one aspect of us, right? I mean, that's not all of who we are. And so to understand that really can give us a new perspective and open us up to more opportunities as well in life to find that heartfelt joy.
Yeah. And just looking at, I wrote down a few points. Most everybody, not 100%, but probably a large majority of the population is traumatized by experiences that we've had. And that brings us back to what Gerald Ann was saying about self-love and self-care, that we have to learn to be kind to ourselves.
Yes.
Within those traumas also lie more limited perceptions of who we are because of the experience. On the soul level, it's like, so we can't integrate it. So we think, well, there must be something wrong with me, or there are different ways that we interpret that. I remember, and I've mentioned this many times to people who know me, there was a time when I felt like I was deeply flawed. That was the way, I guess, I defined it for myself. Like there was something inside me that was deeply and horribly wrong with me. And the worst part was I thought anybody who's spiritually aware would be able to see it. So it was like I had to hide myself from being seen because I was so ashamed of being such a flawed person. But that's the illusion. I think that's what we all have to understand. We may believe it. Actually, part of us believes it. In the heart, we know it's not true, which is another reason to connect there. But however you see it for yourself, it's not something you have to admit to anybody else. It's not about saying, well, you know, I feel like I'm not worthy, or I feel like I'm not as good as everybody else. You don't have to tell anybody else, but just to see that and understand that's not it. That's not who you really are. That's the illusion of separation.
Right. Absolutely. It's like a layer that we need to kind of remove from ourselves in order to let more of that light shine through. Because we all are amazing and magnificent people. We're all beautiful beings. And when we limit ourselves, we're kind of dampening that. We're putting a shade cloth over that,
Right.
and so if we can just kind of clear that away and choose a new way of thinking, a new way of feeling and sensing our life, I feel like that will help, let that light shine in. And like I said, the heart is never going to lead us astray. If we're
No.
receiving guidance at any time that's making us feel bad about ourselves, that's not coming from the heart. That's coming
Mm-hmm.
from the limitations that are speaking much louder than the heart at that moment. So
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and energetically, those are parts of the self who've been disconnected from our wholeness. So they're kind of like out in the wilderness. They are out in the
yeah,
wilderness alone without any resources.
right.
And what they're missing is that connection to love, which is what we find here. And
Right.
love ultimately is the most powerful healer, which is interesting. And
Yes.
it's available. It's right here within us.
Right. That's what's so beautiful about it, is that it's readily available to anybody at any time. We just need to open up and allow that in.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that can be hard to do. I know
Yes.
I think I was very afraid of love. My parents had a really horrible relationship, and I was afraid to commit myself to anyone when I was younger. And I remember when Philip asked me to marry him, I remember saying, "Well, that's an interesting idea." And that's all I said. And a couple weeks later, he came back to me and he said, "Do you remember?" I don't think you really answered my question. I was just afraid to commit to anything. And when we can see these things in ourselves and be compassionate with them, then we can bring love to them. Those are actually they are parts of the self. They have their own personalities and everything, and we can talk to them and bring them back home.
Right. And I think that's a good point that you make too, because I think there are times in our life where those parts of us are speaking so loudly that when something beautiful like a marriage proposal comes up, we may also feel like, why would you want to marry me? What am
Right.
I'm not worthy, or I'm not valuable, or I'm not contributing to the earth in some way, or to this incarnation in some way. And we start to kind of believe that other people feel the same way about us, and that's also part of the illusion.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of build up this case against ourselves in those moments, and it really is limiting who we are. It's limiting the divine beauty of who we are.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
a
And
lot of people
that's
can
so
relate.
sad. Oh, I
Yeah,
can.
yeah,
I know.
absolutely.
I used to be reluctant to compliment anybody, or I I don't know that I would tell people I love them. Generally, like friends, like Gretchen, or all the beautiful people who are here with us now, Gerald Ann and Sharon and Barbara, and I love them all. I love all of you. I wouldn't say that before because I thought, well, why would anyone care?
Right, right.
Like I was so flawed and unworthy. No one I it would be unreasonable for me to say, well, gee, you look beautiful today, or anything. And I was just I was very, very shy, as you can imagine. And
Sure.
and there are reasons. We all have those traumas come not just from this lifetime, but from lifetimes further back in the past too.
Absolutely. And I think that ties back in with what Geraldine was suggesting, is that we really need to bring it back to that level of self-appreciation and self-care and self-love.
Mm-hmm.
If we feel very strong in the love for ourselves, those kind of limitations will fall away. Those are things that will easily fall away because we won't believe them anymore. We won't, delusion
Right,
only has power as long as we believe it.
right,
So yeah,
right.
absolutely.
And then there are times when um, we might think, well, I remember one thing right around that time when I turned 40, and uh, Philip and I were both very unhappy with what we were doing. For me as an architect, and he was an educator, and we started actually goal setting and writing down things that we wanted. And one of the things that we wanted was to be able to travel. And we couldn't see the time or the money, or we just couldn't see it happening. But we were advised by, I can't remember who, we heard that if you just start small in the direction that you want to go in, what happens, and the way I see it now, is it's kind of like it gradually rises up, and it's kind of like a parabolic curve, that eventually just goes up really fast. So we started getting travel brochures and kind of dreaming about where we wanted to go. And pretty soon we were going to Hawaii and all kinds of different places. And I can't remember exactly how all of that happened in detail, but it is really staying focused on and knowing what you want too. That's another one. Being clear, writing things down actually is good. We do highly recommend writing down where you want to go, because then you can find small ways.
Right. I think it's so true too, because I think when we're on that path, we might feel impatient sometimes too.
Right.
And like I'd spoken earlier about, kind of divine timing of things. If we buy into the impatience, it's kind of like buying into there's not enough for all of us. There's not an abundance. When actually you're going to manifest that if that's really what you're aligned with. It's going to happen. And we just need to trust that is the trajectory we're on,
Right.
And so right. So again, as we move further into the self-care and the love of ourselves, like I said, those limitations are going to fall away, and that trajectory just kind of goes straight up. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So we just need to trust. And that actually, for me, helps a lot with my impatience. When I feel impatience, I just need to kind of recenter myself and say, you just need to trust this is all going to happen, and it's all going to happen in the divine timing of things. And there is a real beauty to that divine order, to the divine plan. There really is a grand sense of order, yet all the while we have free will. So that's beautiful. I mean, think about how complex that is. That plan is so complex. But that also reassures me, that gives me moments of reassurance in those times where my energy might be low, to just say, if I can just center again and trust that this will happen, then it will. That's the beauty of it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Geraldine complimented us. You ladies are so spot on. Great conversation we all need.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Another thing, I was still working as an architect for a while, and I thought it's my responsibility to make the most of this too, not to say, oh, I'm such a victim, woe is me, kind of, because we are creators. We have to take some responsibility for creating. So one thing I did is I was living in Sacramento at the time, in the city, and I was working downtown, living out in the suburbs. And so instead of driving to work on the freeway, I found another way I could go on the side streets that would take me past a park. And I would go there. I'd have to allow another 10 or 15 minutes. I'd go there and I'd stop and I'd walk through the park, and there was this nice lake with ducks and beautiful birds, and it was like this wonderful experience in the morning of just being outside and breathing the fresh air, and it purely enjoyment. And then I would take the rest of the trip to work. And I also realized that one other thing about that is I felt as long as I was there, if nothing else, I was a person who could be there to shine some light into that office. So there's always some positive purpose for the things that we're doing, even if it's not our intention. Like, actually, my intention is to be a purveyor of love and light. So I was doing it.
Right. I think that's so funny, because I actually chose to start doing that years ago. Instead of taking the highway to get to work, I actually take back roads to get to work, because it's much more pastoral. And, I see rolling hills and mountains. We're in the Blue Ridge Mountains here in this area of Virginia. And I see the cows, and they're just grazing in the field, or I might
Right.
see a farm with sheep, and I think just, oh, how lovely, and then when I get to work, I'm in this beautiful heartfelt space, instead of going, oh, I have to go to work,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
which
Right.
can be a way, you can live that way, but it's just so much more freeing to be able to make those little changes where we can just cultivate more opportunity to have these beautiful experiences that are free, just
Right.
driving on a back road completely free. And it takes me about 7-8 minutes out of my way, but to me it's
Right.
worth it. And when I come home in the evenings, that's often how I kind of decompress. I'm
Mm-hmm.
reconnected with that nature element and just the beauty of everything on God's earth. And
Right.
it's amazing to me to be able to reconnect in such a simple way. And then when I get home, I'm not bringing work home.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm fully energetically clean or cleansed by that, and it's a beautiful thing. So I completely relate to that, and I think it's a small thing we can all do for
Mm-hmm.
ourselves too,
Right.
if we're somebody that has to work outside the home. So
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, just take a little
Right.
different route,
Mm-hmm.
instead of
Yeah.
wearing that
Find
rut.
find little things.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
start with the
exactly,
little things that bring
right,
more joy.
absolutely.
That's sorry about that. That's Foxy. Foxy, it's okay. Um, that's I won't tell you. It's just funny something. It's a sound on our cell phones. Our dogs are so smart. Um, they know what they mean. A lot of the tones on our cell phones. They're very very smart. Um, yeah. So anyhow, just in general, finding ways to experience joy wherever you are,
Right.
because there are ways. Bring a flower and put it in a vase when you go to work, or just take something with you that makes you feel joyful. Wear things that make you feel joyful.
Right. Just the simple little things like that are so simple for all of us to do. We don't need to go buy a new car. We don't need to buy, go on a fancy, expensive vacation. These are things that are always around us and available for us. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's wonderful just to add a few of those things to our day to help us continually reconnect with why we're here, with our heartfelt joy. And what it does is it gives birth to other moments of more joy, and
Right.
sometimes it's wonderful just to start your day like that, and then to keep asking, what else is going to happen, what else am I going to get excited about today, what else is going to give me some zest for life today. And I think you have mentioned before too, Jane, that when you get up in the morning, you ask those kind of questions, what's going to happen today, what
Yeah.
exciting
Or
things
I
are.
tell myself something wonderful is happening today,
Right,
and I'm going to find
exactly.
out what it is.
Right. Exactly.
It's like,
And
oh, it's a mystery.
right, and that excitement actually adds to the aspect of freedom, because it's helping us continually realign with that trajectory of being in our heartfelt joy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so now it's time for our meditation, which is another opportunity for joy. We're going to experience some magic and some of the wonderful beings of light who are always with us and always available also to lift our spirits. So this is another opportunity we can discuss more too afterwards. So you ready, Gretchen?
I am ready.
Okay,
Always
so
ready.
right.
I love these meditations.
Right, so you can start by closing your eyes if you're in a place that's safe for doing so. And as we did earlier, just starting to breathe in love and light from the universe. We're inviting all of those beings of light who are supporting us individually and collectively to be with us here. So we can breathe in all of that love and light. Just shifting again out of the thoughts that often occupy our minds into an awareness of our body, and inviting any energy that is not your own, or actually intending any energy that is not your own, to leave your space, because we deserve to have our own space. And it can feel good just to let that go. And likewise, bring any energy of your own that you've left in other places or other times back. And it's interesting, whenever I do this, it feels like there's this vacuum and like energy's coming in, and I can feel myself just more present, a little more present now. So I'm going to invite in 4 archangels today to join us. They are beautiful, beautiful beings of light and love. And we're going to invite them to support us in feeling freer and in releasing any energy within us that is not supporting that freedom for us. I'm going to start with Archangel Metatron, who is considered to be one of the angels that are closest to God on top of the tree of life. And I invite him in, and you can invite him for yourself, just to collectively join us. And imagine him joining you with a beautiful outpouring of radiant golden white sparkling light. I always add sparkles to whatever the light is, because I think that they do spark spark more light for us. And some describe actually the light from Metatron as being like diamonds. So you might actually see an image of Metatron supporting you, around you. He may be hugging you with his wings. He may just be there to support you in some way. And just feel that radiant light, allowing again to have that clear anything that is ready to clear, that is preventing you from feeling as free as you would like. Metatron's focus is on spiritual evolution and enlightenment. He is one of the archangels who is specifically here to help us with the grand awakening, as I would like to call it. And he acts as a guardian to all of us who are here to awaken the planet. So he is here for you too. I feel like, for me, like he is always with me. And I feel so blessed. He can accelerate our spiritual growth when we connect with him and his energy. I think just connecting with this energy, his energy, and other beautiful angels who are supporting us, it changes us. He also is, interestingly, the overseer of the Akashic records. So he knows everything about your past and your soul's plan for this life. He can support you very personally and individually in helping you to heal the past, to move beyond those perceived limits so you can feel freer and more connected with the divine, more connected with that love in your heart. And he can assist you with developing your spiritual gifts and abilities. So for many, this may be the beginning of a relationship or the continuation of an ongoing relationship. And it is one that has really infinite potential for transforming your life in positive ways. That's my perception, at least, that he's just an amazing, radiant being of light. And we invite him now to open us to a more expansive perception of ourselves and our potential. And you may feel this now, that you feel freer, that you can feel more radiance in yourself, and actually invite that light from him all the way into your body, into the cells. All of the cells have an intelligence too. And they really appreciate love and light. They thrive on it. So I want to thank Metatron for being here and inviting him to stay with us as I invite in our second, I'm inviting in 2 beings this time, Archangel Zadkiel and the Ascended Master Saint Germain, who are both known for being the beings that hold violet light. Saint Germain is known for the violet flame, which is an amazing, it's the most powerful healing energy, being with violet being the highest vibration of light that is perceptible to the human eye. So I want to invite both of them to join us. And again, you may experience their presence in some way. We can also invite in an outpouring from them of that violet light. You may perceive it as a flame. I prefer sparkling, sparkling light. And part of this is you can find your own way to perceive. You can open to your own way to perceive, because all of us have our own unique ways of being, and they'll speak very personally to each and every one of us. So we want to now focus on this violet healing light. It's like alchemy. It transmutes fear and limitation into love and joy. So just invite that violet light to surround you. And as with Metatron, invite this one too to go through your body, just clearing out anything that it can clear for now that may be limiting you from feeling that freedom that you desire. That connection to the divine that you desire. And again, inviting it into all of the cells of your body. You may feel sparkling light in those cells. And this is something you can do anytime if you're feeling a fear or anger or sense of limitation, or if you're beating yourself up in some way. Just invite this light to transmute it into love and joy. And you can just sit in it. And it may bring you more awareness too. You may have more awareness of where this came from in the past, of what the opportunities are that are unfolding as you allow it to clear. I recently reconnected with Saint Germain after many years of knowing about him, but not actually connecting with him personally. And when I started using the violet flame, I noticed I would feel the clearing and embrace the clearing, and then I would start feeling happy. And it really surprised me until I actually read one time that this is what happens. And because I would experience it repeatedly, I would go into these joyful states. So we can open to the joy that's available to us here now. You may notice again, you feel freer. Again, I always feel such deep, deep gratitude to these beings who are here for us. We're so blessed. So I want to thank Saint Germain and Zadkiel. And now we're going to invite in another one of my very, very favorite angels, Archangel Raziel, who is known as the magician of the angelic realm, and also a deeply wise spiritual guru. So when you think of magic, you don't want to think it as this fluffy, silly thing. It is more the deep, deep wisdom tradition of magic. And Raziel comes to us in a rainbow of light. I've always loved rainbows. And I love to, the way I see it is when I invite Raziel, then I have sparkling light of all colors around me. And you may experience the rainbow of light in any way that's perfect for you. Just notice how you experience it and how it feels, inviting that rainbow of light again in through your body, into all of the cells of your body. Raziel is considered the gatekeeper of divine information. And as with Metatron, he can support us in opening our spiritual gifts. He's also considered to be the keeper of the mysteries, can walk you through the mysteries of life on your spiritual path. And one of the reasons I connected with him initially is he's known to be one of the most joyful of angels. So if you receive some joy from the violet flame, you can open to even more now. And ask him to infuse your path, infuse your life with magic as you move more joyfully and positively and more freely forward with that freedom of being you. It is the freedom of not being you, or the lack of freedom that comes from not being you, actually, for all of us, or not being ourselves, that limits us. So we can now infuse every cell with this magic, feeling divinely guided by these beautiful beings of light, and opening to all of the joy that's available to us. I'm talking about intention, sensing magic in every moment. With Raziel, you can invite him anytime to join you. And I feel like he's blessing us and saying he's glad to be with us, that he is here for us and he wants us to be with him. And this is another thing with the archangels, that they are always here for us, but they honor our free will and they will not interfere in our lives in any way. So the key is to invite them, invite the magic, invite the joy and the love. There's so much love, so much more than I ever imagined before, which brings me back to gratitude. I'm deeply grateful for Raziel and for all of the angels. There's one more. I'm just going to take a really brief moment to invite in Archangel Jophiel, a more feminine presence, who you might experience as more of a fuchsia pink light with sparkles, and feeling blessed by an outpouring or downpouring of beautiful rose petals. Jophiel, the reason I wanted to invite Jophiel is because she is focused on helping us to appreciate the beauty that lies within us. So inviting her in to join you, you might be able to feel that, just opening to the unique beauty of who you are. You're not here to be anyone other than who you are. In fact, you are here to be who you are. And she is very supportive in that, can feel that loving energy. She also can support us in awakening to the divine presence of the soul, and is a blessing to both males and females, expressing that opportunity to benefit from this beautiful feminine energy. And feeling her love and loving ourselves. I feel that now. And again, I feel deeply grateful, want to express my gratitude. I feel it's so important with these angels to express our gratitude. They're here for us, and they do also expect us to be there for them or here for them with our presence, to bring our presence and our intention to the experiences that we're able to have with them. So again, I want to thank all of these angels who are with us. There are the archangels I mentioned, and they all have their own legions of angels around them. And we have other angels around us too. So there are many, many angels who are present for us right now. And sometimes I feel like I could just stay bathing in this beautiful light. So it's time to come back and become more aware of our bodies. Feeling your feet rooted to Mother Earth, another beautiful divine energy. When I express my gratitude to Mother Earth, she expresses her gratitude back to me. I can feel the energy. So we can settle down wherever you are now. Feel yourself in your seat. Breathing in more active energy so you can return to your normal waking state or close, close to normal waking state. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
That was lovely.
Thank you. It felt good to me too. I just feel so,
Absolutely.
they are such blessings, and they really show us the divine is here.
I truly feel that. While this was going on, I hopefully you didn't hear it, but my cats decided this is a great time to fight. So as
I
we
couldn't hear
were,
it.
good. Fortunately, I'm on a microphone that doesn't pick up a whole lot of what's near my face. But as we were doing that and bringing in that energy of the archangels, I actually just asked if they could send some of that light through me and out through my hand, almost as if you were doing Reiki. And I just kind of hovered it over that area of the room, and they calmed down within
Wow.
about 20, 25 seconds. They stopped growling at each other. They were both, I think, laying down. I didn't hear any other sounds, but I didn't have my eyes open. But I just kind of asked and put my hand out, and it calmed them right down. So I'm appreciative for that.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll have to try that with my little crazy dogs who I think Philip must have taken them for a ride. They're not here anymore. And I see Sharon Williams sent us some showers of colorful sparkling glitter. And Barbara Clark says, thank you. And I thank all of you for being here too. The purpose here is to receive what we can for ourselves, to heal and grow and open to what's possible for us. And also through our beings. Now, I think most of us, probably, hopefully all of us, are vibrating a lot of love and light out into the world.
Right.
Which is the intention as we come toward the end of our time together. And I often hold my globe. I got that idea from Gerald Ann. Actually, the beautiful send it to the world. Barbara Clark sent us a rainbow heart. And just you can, with your intention, much as actually Gretchen just described sending energy to her cats, you can send it anywhere in the world. You can send it to, we can send our love and support to the people in Ukraine. We can send it to our hometown, our community that supports us here in so many ways. To someone you know, or yourself if you need healing, to someone you know who may need healing, may need some love. And
That
just,
energy
oh,
has
go ahead.
I was gonna say that energy has an intelligence too, because I often ask for it to just go to whoever needs it, and just kind of keep it more generalized like that. And I feel like it does. We become like conduits on some level, and we're able to kind of earth that energy and send it out to the whole world. It's a really beautiful thing. And Yeah, it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And according to my version of the divine plan, this is how the change is going to happen, is just by more of us embracing the love and light that we want for the world and intending more of it. I think Gerald Ann and I were talking about this yesterday, actually. There is so much more love than we can even imagine. And I think for me, connecting with the angels in the way that I do now, the archangels, is one of the ways that I've been able to sense that and embrace it. Because I thought, well, I know what love is. And I feel so much more now. And who knows? I don't know if there's any end to this in terms of how much love is here for us.
I feel like it's infinite, it's
Yeah.
abundant, just, it's infinite and ongoing and ever perpetuating. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, life is a miracle. Yeah. And it's such a blessing. Well, I don't know what else to say. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I think you said that. I think you said it all there. I think especially the meditation was very powerful. And I think that that we have ways to cultivate that energy, like you showed us very simply, just by asking. We just need, I think that's always one of my big reminders, one of my big takeaways, is that we need to ask, and they're right there. I mean, they are right there, like, okay, what do you need?
Right.
So helpful
Right.
to work with the archangels.
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible to me.
Me too.
So, coming to the end then, Gretchen, would you like to tell a little bit about what's going on in your world now and how people can find out more about what you're doing?
Sure. Thank you so much. Yes, people can find me on spiraljourney.net. That's my website. You can also find me on Facebook under Spiral Journey Holistic Life Services. Right now, actually today, I've been running a contest for the last 30 days for 3 free spots in one of my online programs, and the contest ends at midnight tonight. So if you go to my Facebook page, Spiral Journey Holistic Life Services, you'll find a mention of it there, and you can enter. It's free to enter. You can enter as many times as you like, and we'll be doing the drawing on the 5th. I want to give everybody the break for the holiday, and yeah, we're very excited about it, and we've had a lot of entries, which is wonderful, and I would love to see new entries, more entries. So if you're interested, go to the Facebook page. You can also find it under Gretchen Comer on my personal page. And yeah, so it's a wonderful contest. It's a great program. It's called Journey to the Inner Landscape, and it's about really getting to understand our inner environment and aligning with the root chakra. There's a lot of information in there about the root chakra as well. So thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you, Gretchen.
Sure.
And for us, Awakenings Institute, we have actually not a new page, but we could say I redecorated one of our pages. At gettingthrough.org is our website, gettingthru.org. So the page is gettingthrough.org/spiritual. And I put up a new article on your soul's highest purpose in life as a light worker and spiritual healer. You can also get instant access to our free resource kit for spiritual coaches, healers, and light workers. So you have instant access to more resources that way. You can also find out a little more about the Circle of Love and Light at circleofloveandlight.org. So you have a lot of opportunities here. And I also want to mention that there are ways you can support the circle and help us to collectively create more love and light for the world. You can like our page, which is on Facebook at facebook.com/awakenings circle. You can share this video with your friends. You can go to that page on Facebook and share it out with your friends so more people can find out about what we're doing and benefit from the love and light that's available to them and their communities. You can also invite friends of yours to join you in the circle next time and have that experience together. So those are some possibilities. The final thing that we do each time is we send love and light out to the week ahead. So we've collected a lot today. I think we can just imagine sending all that love and light. You can send the sparkles, the rainbows, the diamonds, whatever appeals to you, send them out and fill your week with love and light. So every moment you can recall it and receive more. And from now until next time, we'll be talking about divine order next week. I hope you'll join us. Thank you, Gretchen. And thank you all for being with us.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful week and a great